Welcome back to another episode of Cable Chatter. Today I have with me the Mayor of Union City, Chad Spence, and City Manager Steve Shoemaker. It's been a while since they've been on the show, and there's been a lot of exciting things happening in Union City, and I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of what was happening and all the exciting things that are coming. But first, we have some community announcements. On Wednesday, October 19th, and every Wednesday at the Town Square Cinema, there'll be $1 Movie Wednesdays, and that's at 6 p.m. On Thursday, October 20th, the Randolph County Career Fair will be at the 4-H Fairgrounds in Winchester, Indiana, and that is from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Friday, October 21st, Trick or Treat will be at the 4-H Fairgrounds. That is from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. On Saturday, October 22nd, the 31st Annual Arts and Crafts Show will be at the Monroe Central School Corporation from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That same day, there'll be a skate contest in Goodrich Park in Winchester from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Later on that same day, there'll be a Family Fall Fest in Goodrich Park from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. On Sunday, October 23rd, the High Point Hills Fall Festival, that's at 7498 South Arbor Pike in Lynn, Indiana, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. And the Union City Trick or Treat will be on Saturday, October 29th. From 5 to 7 p.m. will be the Lions Club Costume Parade, followed by Trunk or Treat at Artisan Park, and a citywide trick or treat from 7 to 9 p.m. On Monday, October 31st, Winchester will have their trick or treat with a parade starting at 5 p.m., followed by citywide trick or treat. On Thursday, November 3rd, the Randolph County United Annual Gala will be at the Wedding and Event Center in Albany, Indiana, starting at 6 p.m. On Friday, November 4th, the Farmland Concert Series continues with Cumberland Gap. That's 100 North Main Street in Farmland, Indiana, from 7 to 9 p.m. And on Saturday, November 5th, the Lions Club Pancake Breakfast in Union City is back at the Union City Elks Lodge from 6 a.m. to noon while supplies last. That same day, the Journey Home will be having a rummage sale. That's at 325 South Oak Street, Suite 101 in Winchester, Indiana, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're getting into fall and October, and there's so many events and neat things happening in Randolph County. Again, as always, I encourage you to get on social media, check out calendars, and see what neat things are happening. There's just a lot of stuff going on. Make sure you get out there and enjoy what Randolph County has to offer. And next we have Chad Spence and Steve Shoemaker. Again, welcome to Cable Chatter. I'm here with Chad Spence, Mayor of Union City, and Steve Shoemaker, the City Manager. Steve's not had the pleasure of being on the show before, so it's his first time. I know Chad's been on before, and a lot's happened since we talked the last time on Cable Chatter. A lot of developments in Union City, and we're just here today to kind of talk through some of those things, get updates, and just to tell everybody what's been going on. Just kind of jump right in. Vision Corners. What's been going on at Vision Corner?
Oh, absolutely. Well, if it's looked dormant a little bit on the inside here recently, it's because we were waiting on the bid process to end for the mechanicals. And thank goodness that just ended. And so folks are going to start seeing a lot more activity ramp up there, getting the mechanicals done. That's going to be that's actually the guts of the whole structure. I mean, that's the most time consuming, the most arduous, the most expensive portion of the project. And so the next few months are going to be very intense with getting that accomplished. Now on the backside of that, obviously work's being done, product being installed that requires cash. So unfortunately nothing's free. And but we've been very blessed. And the last time we spoke, lots occurred. Actually, Frank Miller Lumber, just tremendous asset to this community, has stepped on board as a supporter of Vision Corner because they see the big picture and what we're trying to accomplish there with development, workforce training, education, helping rise all boats, and so they've stepped on board, as has Cardinal Ethanol, the most recent entity to step on board as a supporter, and Citizen State Bank has already basically jumped on board verbally. We don't have the details yet to what that support looks like yet, but they have already basically said that they want to be a part of this project as well. And I follow up later this month with Workhorse, and we have other entities that we're approaching and plan to approach as well, because this is a community project. It really is. It's for the community. I've stressed before, it's like the phrase in the Christmas song, from 2 to 92. It's meant to serve everybody. So we not only want the students benefiting on the first floor and expanding their business offerings, personally, and what they can learn and acquire and develop, but also adults and folks in the community and surrounding up on the second floor. So we already have, Ivy Tech is already committed to the first class, and that is the English learners class, easy for me to say.
That's great.
Yes, it's fantastic. So that is a much, much needed piece of curriculum for the community, and it's going to help expand our workforce development in itself, because this is something that's been very appealing to some of the industry in terms of having a broader pool of folks that they can bring on board. And so that's a key element to start with. And then we have other courses that will be following it, but that course is set to begin rather soon, because Superintendent University Aaron Black has already committed space to help facilitate that beginning, even though Vision Corner won't be up and running here in the next couple weeks, obviously. So that's encouraging. And then and you could speak to this if you want to, but we've also had very encouraging discussions with Ball State and the esports program that they have. Because one of the things we hear a lot of times is, our kids need more to do, which, I'm sorry, on a personal note, that really rubs me the wrong way, because they've got a lot more to do than what we did at that age.
They absolutely
and we
do.
still manage to keep ourselves busy and occupied, but it is what it is. And so we definitely hear that. And the thing with esports is, I used to think it was just kids playing video games, and it's so much deeper than that. I mean, it goes into software applications, the development of programs, planning and strategy sessions amongst the participants, a lot of teamwork involved, filming and
Absolutely.
broadcasting of the events, everything. I mean, there's a lot more than what the typical person probably, or at least what I thought, was involved to it or in it. And so that is also something we are pegging to be on the second floor of Vision Corner. And it would be a regional impact tool, because we could bring in folks from all over for these events. But Randolph Eastern would be, having its own program, so to speak, because that's part of Ball State's vision. And Ball State's part of a national level program for esports amongst universities. And they're trying to develop a high school level initiative. So as you know, there's 3 high schools already on board around Muncie area, Anderson area, and we're hoping to be one of the next ones. So again, it's a lot of things going on. He knows the guts of the building, obviously, in terms of keeping all the plates spinning, which are a lot of plates. Mm-hmm. And that's I'm trying to spearhead the fundraising end of it, and to help facilitate everything behind the scenes. But then he's actually spearheading the construction, which is huge. That's a huge endeavor.
Yeah, I know. Steve and I talked quite a bit over the summer, because I know the windows in the front and the walls have all come in now. I mean, they're all installed. It looks great. You get a chance to see into the building. But I know I had my team up there over the summer getting cabling ready, because we had some student labor to help pull all the cable and get all that in place, and watching things change and grow, and just all that little stuff that now there's cable in the walls, but it doesn't look that much different from the outside, except for you're like, oh, there's a wire over there. Yeah. But I mean, that stuff takes a lot of work, and I know I see some activity on the side, or one of the old theaters was. What's kind of going on there?
Yeah, basically. Todd Landis and his guys are there tuck pointing the building. Probably could have done that prior to painting, but we just wanted to get instant impact in changing the color and the mindset of the building. So we painted it ahead of tuck pointing. The building pretty much is about, I'm going to say 75% tuck pointing. Todd's finishing that up On the Pearl Street side of the building will also be a recreation visually of the old Miami Theater. That'll be done with the finished material, stucco and different applications there. The canopy that is built out there will be anchored back to the building with a chain system to basically mirror how it was done originally. There's plans to replicate the Miami sign that hung vertically above that canopy up through the second floor. And then we will also be looking at LED message boards to serve as the marquee as part of that canopy. So lots being done. That side's not really a point of entrance, it's more a point of egress, but we do want to pay tribute to the history of the downtown and try to recreate what we can recreate. So,
and it's important to note the windows will be revealed. So there had 5 or 6 windows up there that they will be revealed. You'll be able to see the windows. People just see the covering now, and that's not the finished product. And behind it will not be a theater. It will be classroom space for Vision Corner. So as he said, we're paying respects to the historic nature of the building on the outside, but behind it will be education that will be occurring. So
that is super cool. I know I saw when some of that stuff started going up, I'm like, what exactly is going on? And I heard, different things and different stories. So that's really cool.
Well, we're thankful for the project. And he's going to roll his eyes maybe here in a second, but I'm going to say this again and again and again and again. This project, we're so blessed with how this project has come together, because it scored the highest of all 142 economic development projects that were submitted for the READY program amongst 8 counties in the state of Indiana. I mean, the state was divided into territories, into regions, if you will. Our region consisted of 8 counties. Those 8 counties submitted 142 projects. Vision Corner scored the highest. And so because it speaks to a number of needs on a broader level, I mean, people might be saying, well, why is the school and the city working together like this? Because we have to. Because we have to. Because we have so much room for improvement in personal development for our kids and our adults. And we should never stop learning. We should never stop learning. When we think we know it all, that's trouble. Right. We're in big time trouble. And so it's to put our best foot forward and to make sure we as a community put our best product forward. Because believe you me, industries, people talk about companies and other entities that evaluate where they go. And as Steve mentioned in a council meeting recently, one of the biggest determining factors is place. What are we going into? In other words, would our prospective employees have places to live? Would they have? What's the school system like? What's the daycare setup like? What are the other amenities? Places to eat, places to shop, places to see. All these things. Believe it or not, those are taken into consideration when entities decide whether they're going to set up operations somewhere or not.
Sure, absolutely.
So. So we've not only got to address that, but they also address what's the available workforce, and of the available workforce, what are their skill sets and their education levels.
And so, yeah, I mean, the Vision Corner plays a big piece into obviously the vision, the big picture of Union City. And as you just said, we talked, it's where they have to learn, where they have to eat, and there's been tons of stuff going on in Union City that does to provide, there's a coffee shop, new places to eat. There's lots of growth to get that big picture that folks from the outside are looking for when they want to move to a place or they want to bring a business here, just to try to get that whole encompassing vision. I mean, that takes us right into the new construction I'm seeing every time as I come into work. There's lots of big piles of dirt. So what's going on out there? What Governor Gray Estates, what's happening just down the road here from the school?
Governor Gray Estates, it's progressing very well. It getting closer to completion, literally every day. Last week I attended the East Central Indiana Economic Development meeting, and I just heard an interesting stat. I even texted Chad during the meeting. In 2021, and this speaks volumes about why it's important for us to basically create this public-private partnership to build this housing neighborhood. In 2021, there was only 153 building permits issued in our 6-county region for new home construction.
Wow.
Statewide, I mean, there's a huge housing shortage. Driving to Indianapolis, you wouldn't really see that or think that, but when you get out on the outlying communities, when you get out into rural America, there is a desperate need for quality housing. Families are looking for places like Union City to raise their family. They're looking for good schools. They're looking for things to do. They're looking for parks. They're looking for the amenities that they want to have in their existence. Governor Gray Estates will be a brand new 62 home neighborhood. It'll be a walkable neighborhood, meaning it'll have curbs and sidewalks. It's yet to be visualized by our community, but it's getting closer. They're currently staking out the curbs as we speak. I would project that by the end of the week there'll be concrete trucks pouring curbs. After that will be sidewalks, and then they're literally working on getting the individual lots ready to start doing footers and foundations. So this is going to happen in the next 3 months. I would say you're going to start seeing homes being built.
That's fantastic. And I know, that we've seen some pictures through council meetings and different conversations. I know I've been involved in some of our presentations over at the county council and stuff. There's lots of, it's not just cookie cutter houses. You're not just going to see a bunch of identical houses.
Right.
I mean, there's going to be lots of variety. No.
Yes.
Yeah, they're basically identified as like a modern craftsman home. They'll have multiple types of finishing on the outside. There'll be some stone and brick and siding combinations. They're for the most part one floor plan, easy to move into, easy to raise a family in, practical homes, and we're excited about it.
When I saw the pictures, it was lots of nice looking houses, not just the suburbs that you've always looked at and go, okay, I can't tell which house is which. I don't know.
Where do I live?
The only way I know is the number on the front. And they all look the same.
Yeah, we didn't want that.
No, and that's exciting. I know that the school's got some groups of students that are working on something for Governor Gray Estates. Have you guys played any part of that? There's a statue I think they're trying to raise some funds for.
Yes. Yeah, in fact, in the design phase of this development, one thing that we requested was that the entranceway not have homes sitting on it, the very first 2 lots. We wanted that to be a grand entrance into this development for a couple reasons. Number one, we wanted to be able to control the flow of what the appearance was, the look of going into the development, because we want this to be a nice development.
Sure.
And the other thing was that it's a chance to honor a 2-term governor from Union City, lived in Union City, which doesn't happen every day, as you know.
No.
And so it's a chance to recognize that individual who a lot of people may not know, he helped build Monument Circle in Indianapolis. So he's got significant ties to the state of Indiana and to our capital. So we want to recognize that. And so they're raising money to have a bronze statue created by, and my mind escapes me, the name escapes me, I should say. The gentleman who is local has done.
So you did this. You did the one for the Veterans Park, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
The library.
Yes.
Josh Shepard,
thank you. Outstanding artist. I mean, just simply gifted, just amazing. So yes, he's doing Governor Gray statue. So which is pretty cool. So they're working to raise money for that.
As part of their PBL project, there's a lot to talk about with that, but I know the students are working together. I think there's going to be like a faculty student basketball thing, and there's something else. They're working hard to try to raise funds for that. And,
awesome.
I know Ted Leahy's been in to kind of spread the word, and I had no idea. Governor Gray's an interesting character. Reading his biography, it was something. He worked real hard to get where he was. So I'm excited. I know I see movement coming in and going every morning, and it's pretty exciting to be able to drive by that. Speaking of construction and that sort of stuff, and we've got some movement uptown. There's some demolition that's progressing. What can you tell me about that?
That's a heartbreaker for me. It's heartbreaker, but it's also exciting. At least we're thankful for what we have around the corner. Heartbreaking from the fact that I don't like to lose buildings. I'm on the preservation committee for crying out loud. So my whole endeavor with that entity is to save stuff, preserve it best we can. Because once it's gone, it's gone. And those buildings up there, they're historic in nature, not just because of their age, but even their architectural style. Architectural styles change. And when you lose an era of architecture, it's gone. The only thing you have left of it is maybe some pages in a book. And so those designs are influenced by entities far away. So it hurt losing those buildings, but at the same time, it's no longer practical to keep a building when it's not safe, or the costs are so astronomical to try to salvage it and restore it that it exceeds any kind of feasibility. And so we've got two things we got to do. Number one, we've got to find a way to get these buildings taken down safely and economically. Number two, we've got to find a way to preserve what we have.
Right.
Because this is a message. That one thing, a lot of people are not history fans, but one thing I think we can all agree upon is hopefully we learn from history.
Sure.
We don't make the same mistakes. So the one way we found out how to get these down was we applied vigorously for a grant through Okra for $500,000. And that's the funding we were awarded to get these taken down. We had to do a lot of work, and there's still a lot of work that's going on to fulfill the requirements of that grant. And it's been an arduous process. But the good news is, once they come down, there are backfill plans. If you've seen the sign up on the corner, yes, from Loose Tacos is expanding, and they're going to have their Loose Pollos on the corner. They're going to build a structure. It will just be one floor, but it will be a structure that will be reminiscent of the structure that used to sit there years ago but burned, the New Times building.
Okay.
If people remember correctly, it had a slanted entrance. So it's going to have that. And it's going to be brick and stone, so it's going to have a facade that's complementary to the downtown. And it's going to be not only a rotisserie chicken restaurant, which is great because it's a new addition, new flavor, new flair, if you will,
Sure.
for people's palates. But it will also have drive-through and outdoor seating.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's yet something new coming to the community. So that'll help dress up that corner and fill that corner. And then we're looking like crazy for a passenger rail car to go down on the corner where I know you laugh, where the city building has come down, the old city building. I want a passenger rail car restored, sitting on tracks, that is a welcome center to downtown and to Union City. And we will actually make it practical, not just as a welcome center, but also as an office, for office space. And it will be a nice segue into Artisan Crossing, which houses our restored rail tower, which will be opening up soon for the restrooms for Artisan Crossing. So there is a theme there. And this city wouldn't even exist without the rail. I mean, that's what really brought it to life. So it's a way to pay respects to that heritage. So that's that corner. And then the A&P, where it stood, for folks who aren't familiar with A&P, it's the big 2-story brick building that's got a gas station, or old gas station that was attached to it, sitting east of the Backstay Lofts, so on Oak Street. That's all slated to come down.
Okay.
And sadly enough, that was a Kroger store at one point in time.
Really?
Yes, Kroger actually was there, the grocery store, believe it or not. So, so that hurts to lose that. But also we are working feverishly to develop that as well, and we've had some conversations, and it will happen. It's a matter of when and not if, and so that will be developed as well. So we don't need more open lots. We need spaces that are producing revenue that helps the community grow and provides greater selection for folks, whether it be something to buy or somewhere to live or something to do. That's what people need and deserve. They don't need an open lot or an empty building that's falling down.
Right, right. No, yeah, I mean, and so much has happened. I totally forgot. I mean, we moved a rail tower since the last time I think we had
Yes,
had a conversation.
we have.
I mean,
Yes.
it was so. How is it? How is it progressing? I mean, you said that soon, or was there a story there, or?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the roof is done.
Okay.
And shout out to Good Hugh Roofing. They did that work, and he did the work on that and on the covered bridge on his own dime.
Oh wow, that's
And
excellent.
so if anybody needs standing seam metal roof, please reach out to Good Hugh. They not only do phenomenal work, but they also are very community minded. And God bless them for that. If we had more Good Hughes around us, we would just be exponentially further along. You know, it's them and the Frank Millers and the Cardinal Ethanols and all the other folks that step up, and they're civic minded.
Sure.
That's what helps us when we come together. And that helps a lot more than being divided. And so they did that, and then the windows are restored. As you can tell, the windows around the building are restored. There's a little bit more work to do on the entrance door in the front, and then the inside, the plumbing has to be finished off to allow the restrooms to be built out. And then we finish the walls upstairs and then start filling the upstairs with the artifacts that we've been collecting. And we've had several really cool things donated to us. And so that people will be able to go up there and step back in time, you know, in terms of the rail history and some specific things that were utilized, you know, here in Union City with regard to the rail industry. And then, of course, when we have the numerous events at Artisan Crossing, they'll have nice indoor restrooms to utilize.
Because there's a lot of stuff that happens up there.
Yes.
I read the community
Yes.
announcements. It's that name's on there a lot. There's
Yes.
a lot of activity. That's exciting. Just lots of neat stuff going on. There's at least 2 or 3 things I wanted to ask, but they're gone now.
They come back to you.
Yeah. Just it'll be nice to have all that stuff going on in downtown, and just new restaurants, new places to eat. Drive-through is going to be huge.
Yes.
Because I know lots of people. I mean, that's a big thing. It moves a lot of product. But next thing on my list, I mean, I know it's been a piece of conversation, but the emergency services are cooperating with Union City, Ohio. What can you tell me about that?
This is kind of earth-shattering news for the Union City community, really. Basically, police, fire, EMS has entered into basically a collaboration that is moving our emergency services into a whole new platform of operation. We're going to remain 2 by definition, but we're going to begin and really have already started operating as 1. That will basically share the use of personnel. It'll begin to kind of redefine the amount of equipment that's needed and required to run emergency incidents in this area. It's going to improve communications. Currently, and this is a really large conversation, but post 9/11, the federal government says, hey, it's imperative that we have interoperability. So the federal government basically, for lack of a better way to explain this, they took over Nextel Communications, 700-800 megahertz platform of radio communications. That became the emergency services band. They decided interoperability was the way to go. So basically, what was created was the way to communicate state line to state line with everybody. I mean, I can talk to basically anybody I want on a 2-way radio across the state. What they failed to do was create a way to operate mutually across the state line. So the state of Ohio operates on a platform that's called Marks. Indiana operates on a platform that's called IPSC, and the 2 platforms don't communicate.
Imagine.
Of course not.
So what that does for us operationally is we can operate on what they call a direct channel that gives us, basically real close communication capabilities, but coming into an incident, being a mile or 2 apart, we can't communicate. So what's going to happen with this new collaboration is we're going to move to one consolidated platform, probably the Indiana platform, and the communications will be greatly enhanced. Everybody will be able to talk to everybody. We'll know when they have a call, they'll know when we have a call, and things will begin actually making sense for everybody that's in emergency services. Officer safety will be improved tenfold. Communications with a fire or an EMS call will be, so much smoother than what they currently are. The collaboration, like I said, it shares personnel, it shares equipment. Literally, we're having conversations, and moving to a common protocol, theoretically, a common medical director. We're moving to like scheduling softwares where Union City, Indiana personnel can see who's on duty at Union City, Ohio, and vice versa. Common clock in, clock out type systems. These are long overdue. The fact that this community shares a state line and has to duplicate everything has been a huge burden on all taxpayers for a long time, and we're very thankful, very fortunate that we have personalities and personnel that are able to figure this stuff out and move this thing forward. So,
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, because you said it. There's a lot of duplication. I mean, as and it's gotten better as I've grown up in the community. But it was, heck, there was 2 different times for half the year for a long time, and I'm sure that didn't cause any headaches in emergency services. And it's an arbitrary line in the sand that doesn't mean anything when lives are on the line or people's safety is at risk or there's a fire. It means nothing. That's not important.
And both sides of the town have done all that they can possibly do to meet all the alphabet agencies in this country, NFPA, ABC, XYZ, whatever it is. We've done everything humanly possible to meet those standards, and it's just not financially responsible anymore. We've done some cost calculations, and we can probably cut our fire engine fleet. Theoretically, we can cut that in half. That's a $2.5 million savings to the taxpayers because we don't have to replace that. That's huge.
Yeah.
And when you get down to the nuts and bolts of this conversation, we're providing emergency services, police, fire, and EMS, literally to 5,000 people, and we have twice the amount of equipment that most areas in this whole entire country would have to do the same job. Mm-hmm. And it's time that we understand that. It's time that we, do a better job. It just is. We have to get over ourselves, and we have to figure out how to do this right for the community.
Yeah, and change is hard, and there's a lot of old rivalries and this, that, and the other. But you're absolutely right. We're saving people's money, saving taxpayer dollars, so it can be either reallocated or just saved to better improve the community and do a better job for our citizens. And so that's huge. We have talked about a ton of stuff, and I kind of before I jump into. It's October already. Halloween parade's coming up right around the corner, but that means we're going to roll into the holiday season. Before we start talking about Christmas in Union City, which is huge, is there any other things that have been going on that you want to talk about, or
Mercy.
I know. Before we started this conversation, we're like, there's a lot.
Yeah.
But any of those bits and pieces you wanted to touch on, or before we jump into the whirlwind that is halfway through October through the end of December.
For the sake of clarity and time, there's something I would love to say to everybody, and that is, because we could sit here ad nauseum and talk about all the different things we work on with the industrial park and with the industry out there and with the, you name it, roads, sidewalks, the park, the buildings downtown, housing, you name it. There's one thing I would love people to know is we work what feels like 24/7 to have a very detailed plan to address everything that people see. if somebody sees like, oh, I can't, why is that building still empty? Don't think it hasn't been the topic of discussion and we're not trying to find a way forward. If a home looks less than, inhabitable, don't think there hasn't been discussion and there's a plan to address. We work feverishly to try to address everything. It is a daunting task because I've equated it before as being a homeowner. Very few homeowners probably look at their place and are absolutely 100% satisfied with every nook and cranny in their place.
Sure.
There's probably always that one thing where they want to get to eventually, or they have a vision to do this, or they'd like to do that someday or whatnot. That's kind of what is on a huge scale with a community. And I want to encourage people a couple things. Number one, our job day in and day out is to help make Union City a better place to live and to work and to play. It really is. And I hope people are starting to see that. We're getting tons of comments from outside of the community in terms of what's happening. We took a tour. We had people come in from Portland. They wanted to see what was going on. They wanted to know how we were doing some of the things we were doing. And we took them on a tour. We had like 6, 7 people or so come in from Portland, and we took them on a walking tour downtown. So people are noticing. And by the grace of God, they're noticing. So we're working hard to make those things happen. But here's the biggest thing of all. This is a community. And you want to see us exponentially get further ahead. Everybody plays a role. And somebody probably watching this might say, oh my gosh, here comes the cliche part. But no, it's the truth. If you've got breath in your lungs, you're on this earth for a reason. And if you're a part of community and you look at the definition of community, by definition, it's not a solo thing. It's folks living together in one area. And when we come together, and we've got projects that illustrate this, when we come together, when people come together, they don't seek to divide, they don't seek to tear down. When they come together and instead of coming to the table and saying, I'm going to tell you all the things you're doing wrong, or I'm going to tell you all the things that aren't right. Instead, that doesn't work. Because if we did that to them, they would get defensive.
Sure.
So don't be surprised if we get defensive when you do that to us. We still will listen, but But if you come to the table and say, you know what, I've had this idea. Or you know what, I saw this the other day and I was thinking about this. Or what have you thought about, you see, those are open mindset approaches as opposed to a fixed mindset where you're like, okay, it's this and it's only this. And the open mindset says, I'm going to look at something from different perspectives and I'm going to be open to other people's input and I'm going to offer this up because I feel like I can play a role. And I guarantee you, I promise you, as the day is long, every person in this community can play a role in some degree. And don't discount what kind of role you can play. It could be as simple as someone going over and picking up a piece of trash and throwing it in the trash can. That just helped make that spot of the community look better. It could be something as simple as going next door and the neighbor's weeds are a little bit higher than what they've accustomed or what they're comfortable with. And they're like, instead of attacking them, they're like, I've noticed your place doesn't look quite as kept as what it normally does. You need some help, or is there anything I can do to help? Because I've reached out to see how you're doing, or something of that nature. And I'm not saying that's the best approach, but I'm just saying we can all be more neighborly and we can all be more community minded. And if everybody takes that position, then I guarantee you, I promise you, what we've accomplished so far will be a drop in the bucket compared to what will happen. Guaranteed. So.
No, that's absolutely right. I know when we get enough people at the table, just inside the building, get enough people to the table to have conversations, an open-minded perspective, big things can happen. Vision Corner is an example of looking at something in the community and going, we got to make this better.
Yeah, it's not just a hideous green building.
How can we convert this into something that is a point of pride?
Yes.
Yes. 2 years ago it was, well, just don't look to the left when you're driving down the street. Now it's, I want to see what's going on there.
Yes. Yes.
A, don't hit the dumpster, but B, I want to see what's going on there. I want to know what's happening.
Exactly.
And so it's easy to kind of be in it and not realize what's going on. And change is hard. Change is hard for everybody. It's it's not you're comfortable where you are, and change makes you uncomfortable because you're into something different, you're into something new, and so it's a whole thing, and it's not easy for me. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, just get over it. No, that's not how that always works.
And change is super hard. And you think about anything in life where it requires change and how hard that process is, but what you're trying to get to. In other words, look at Dwayne Johnson. Do you think Dwayne Johnson would look like he does if he lived any one of our, and not knocking you guys, if he lived any one of our 3 lives?
No, he works pretty hard.
He works his tail off. I'll never forget the movie. I think he was being real, but Kevin Hart asked him. It was the Central Intelligence movie. He goes, "How did you get so big?" And Dwayne Johnson says, "Oh, it's nothing. I just worked 6 hours in gym every day for 20 years.
Right, no big deal.
Nothing, no problem, nothing to it." But seriously, though, in all seriousness, isn't that what's required? If the runner is going to get better, he's got to beat his time. Mm-hmm. If he's going to beat his time, he's got to push himself harder and work harder. If the guy's going to have a better free throw shooting percentage, he's got to practice his free throws more than he ever has before. He's got to work on his form. If we're going to lose weight, we've got to stop eating these things, and we've got to start doing this kind of exercise or doing something more to be more active. On and on and on. There's always a price to pay for anything. Everything there's a price to pay.
Yep.
I mean, even the person that just sits there and does nothing, they're paying a price. Because anything they wish they had and don't have, that's the price. They paid that price because they chose to do nothing. Mm. And so there's always this challenge, if you will, when it comes to change, that if you really want to achieve something, it's going to hurt. It's going to be either mental anguish or physical pain or whatnot. But if you want to really reap the rewards in the end, you've got to pay that price. And it's not pleasant. Trust me, my wife makes fun of me all the time because I'm resistant to change. Because when I get the Christmas stuff out and the day after Thanksgiving, I'll put everything back in the exact same place it was the year before. And she always likes to change it up, put things in different spots. And so I'll come home and
I know where it is.
Yeah, I'll come home 4 days later and everything's in somewhere else. Everything's been changed. And I know she's been at work. But that's all right. It's good for me because I can't get stuck in that rut, So anyway, but yeah, you're right.
And one of the things I'll add to that conversation is, I've had 6 meetings already this week that are ideas coming from people from our community.
Which is awesome.
So please,
awesome.
As people are watching this at home, please understand that this administration is hugely approachable.
Yes.
I take meetings all week long. He takes meetings morning, noon, and night when he's in town and available. We need the community's input. We need their feedback.
Yes.
We understand it's not always going to be positive, but that's what we're here for. Fortunately, the 6 I've had this week have all been positive, and they're ideas that I think the community can build on and develop. Mm-hmm. Those are absolutely the good kind of meetings, but we are here to listen. So this community is not ours to develop. It's ours as a community's to develop.
Yep.
So it's important that we get that input.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And there's been a lot of work that's taken us to this point. There's been work before, before you guys were, when you were a councilman, before you guys were where you are now, there was a lot of work that went on behind the scenes to get us to this point where we can see a lot of this growth. And I know you guys have been working hard. I know you're running the grant machine as hard as you can to get the money back into Union City to do stuff like, address blight or fix areas or do improvements. So I know I can say for myself, I appreciate it.
That's sweet.
There's a ton, and I know you guys are approachable and if good, bad, indifferent. And I appreciate that. But yeah, to move forward, we're into the holiday season. So the holiday season's a big time. I know you're a big Christmas guy, and so. Tell us what's going on. I mean, Halloween parade's coming up into the month, and then trick or treat, and then we're off to the races. So what?
Oh gosh, we've been off to the races of Christmas since August.
Right? Yeah, I think I've seen you up in a bucket truck at least once already.
Yep. Yeah, we started in August. We've got 180 trees hung so far. The staking is a big part, and talking about community involvement. We're going to be establishing a couple stake days And don't get your palates too
We're
too
not
wet.
talking
It's not-
T-bones, right?
Yeah, we're not talking T-bones or ribeyes. We're talking little metal sticks that go in the ground to hold the lights in. But we're gonna, that's a huge part that the school helps play a role in too. When the school comes out to volunteer on the Sunday, I think it's November, was it 6th or 7th? It's that first Sunday in November that the faculty will be volunteering to come out and stake trees, and I want to have another day right around that time too for the general community to come out and just, it's real easy. You cut the zip ties holding the lights together, fan them out, stake them around to make it look like a Christmas tree, and done. Because it's plugged in from up top and ready to go, and the goal is to have 300 trees. 292 is the most we've ever done. So,
All right.
But yeah, and we're going to have Larry's working on getting the pixel tree fixed, so it will be back in place at the entranceway.
Okay.
The big tall thing. Yes.
I know. Larry's on the Lions Club, and so I hear him talking about that pixel tree, and he may have called that pixel tree a lot of things that were not a pixel tree.
Probably a lot of things that we can't even say right here right now.
Definitely not.
If you've ever messed with Christmas lights at home, multiply that by 10.
And I know the wind has not been kind to the pixel tree.
No,
either.
it's not. Wind's not been kind to a lot of things. We're the squirrels.
We're talking Christmas in the park, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
just to make sure everybody staking trees, what's going on? So Christmas in the park, lights in the park.
Yes. So community Christmas, as always, day after Thanksgiving, 6 o'clock that evening, the lights go on. There will be a lighted parade again leading up to that. And there'll be a couple new displays that people will be able to see this year. The Grinch is making his first appearance at the park.
Right.
And there won't be the traditional laser show that everybody's been accustomed to in the West End of the park, but there will be, because poor Darren is taking a break because that's taxing for him.
Sure.
And so there will be a light show out there made possible by Winterland out of Marion, Indiana. And so there will be a broad light show out there on the west end of the park people will be able to still pull up and watch, and it's choreographed to music. So that'll still be good to see. And then we've got, obviously, we're trying to still combine the community into the park with Christmas, tying it all together. So we've got Christmas shopping day is...
Yeah, the downtown shopping day will be the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
That'll be very similar to a second Saturday market type event. The merchants will be open late, and there'll be additional merchants coming in with their home-based businesses and crafts and things like that. They'll be set up throughout the community, basically from the Elks Club all the way down through the railroad. So that's always a big event. And then Christmas in the city. I don't have that date, but it's usually
We'll get a hold of it and we'll run it across
so
it'll be here.
Christmas in the city is
December 9th and 10th.
There you go. It's 9th and 10th, and that's an event ran by the Heritage Days Committee, and that'll be an evening event. Carriage rides, cookie walks, all kinds of fun activities for families to come and participate.
That's a big event. They work real hard on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's another big thing. That's such a blessing community Christmas has been, because it draws so many people into town. And make no mistake, we want them to enjoy our lights and enjoy our community, but we also want their money. We
want them to stop by and enjoy
we want them
place.
to stop and fill up their gas. We want them to stop and eat somewhere. We want them to stop and grab something to drink, you name it, and support our patrons. And so that's another way we're trying to support our community. And then also what's cool is the groups that work the gates for Community Christmas, it's a way for them to raise funds.
Certainly.
Because they get a percentage of the gate receipts, every group that works out there. So from youth sports teams to you name it, different 501c3s in the area that work that. And it's just a great way for the community to come together and for folks to give back. And it's a wonderful time, it really is.
I know. Before the show we talked about Lights and Flights will be happening again this year, and
that's December 9th and 10th. So Lights and Flights.
Yep. So Christmas in the city, I think, is December 8th.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
My apologies, but yeah, December 9th and 10th are Lights and Flights. So the day before Lights and Flights is the Christmas in the city, and then the December 9th and 10th will be Lights and Flights. So it's all there together, and it's a fun month. if you like Christmas.
Sure, sure. I
Or
know.
lights, or
any of that
shopping,
stuff.
or
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
And
pick your flavor, I guess.
And I know you've got billboards up all over the place for
Yep.
community Christmas.
On I-70 and one on 571, and there's another one I think on over in Dark County. And then they were trying to find another one, like either along 75, maybe I-75, but I don't know if they landed on that or not. But because we draw a lot of folks from, I mean, it's so cool. The people work the gate. They would get comments from folks like, "Yeah, we're from Columbus, Ohio," or or "We're from outside of Indianapolis," or "We're from down between Dayton and Cincinnati." I mean, folks will drive to see lights, and it's cool because they wouldn't be here otherwise.
Right.
So it's a pretty cool thing.
And I know, to jump in there. I know the Randy Players is working on putting on a show, getting back on stage finally. So I think the announcements will be coming. But we're looking at doing Christmas Carol, so that'll be coming one of those weekends.
Awesome. That's so cool.
So yeah, I mean, we've got a lot going on. Lots been happening, and I know if anybody wants to know more about what's going on or get involved or any of that stuff, where do they go to find out more information about any of these things?
Great question. There's the Union City website.
Okay.
And then, unicity-in.com. And yeah, so hard to remember in it. And then, of course, we have the sign uptown that we always try to keep updated, stationary sign on the corner of Pearl and Columbia to announce upcoming events and times. There's the digital sign outside the fire department that will also announce different events coming up. And then, of course...
Can just always call the city building, push
Yes.
extension 2, and ask for me.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I know there's a lot of Facebook posts that come out that tells what's going on. I've
Yes,
seen a lot of Facebook updates on what's happening. So.
Yeah, and Community Christmas has their own Facebook page as well, and I know a lot of the different groups do as well. And so, yeah, there's a multitude of outlets now to be informed. We've tried to do it with newsletters. Newsletters are starting to come out, and updates on progress and keep people posted on what's happening. So we're trying every avenue we can to make sure people know or are aware of things that are occurring in the community and kind of what's going on. And so, and of course, that's a challenge because it's constantly evolving,
Sure.
Process, and our attention spans as humans is a little less than what it used to be.
Sure. I mean, stuff changes so fast.
Oh, mercy, yes, yeah, it is. It does. So, but no, we're thankful.
Okay. And it's always a pleasure to have you guys on and talk about all this stuff, all the neat things that's going on. So thanks again for coming on. And look forward to seeing you guys around the holiday season.
Likewise.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much.